You either choose to be everything your parents want you to be and not be true to yourself. And at the end of the day, it's your own life. Yes, your parents will be happy with you, but you'll be dissatisfied.
Hi guys, welcome back to Let's Have Drinks. It's been a long time since the last episode. The last episode was last year. Bad, but we're here. Good. Anyway, today I have a lovely, lovely guest. A close friend of mine.
Me?
Celebrity.
Please.
Barakat Adenike.
Hi.
Sheriff.
Hi, everyone.
Introduce yourself to the people.
My name is Barakat Adenike, Sheriff. Funny story about my name is when I was younger. I don't know if I've ever told you this before, but people call me Barakat at home because that's like my first name. But when I'll go to parties, I'll say, "Oh, my name is Adenike," and that's my party name. So I had like my name for the house and people that were like friends, family. But if you knew me, if you met me at like a birthday party when I was young, I'll tell you my name is Adenike because that was my party name.
So you had a
I
party name.
I had a party personality.
Wow.
And Barakat did not fit my party personality. So I started saying my name was Adenike. But over time, I just got tired of people murdering Barakat as my name. So I started saying Adenike because like that was easier for most Nigerians to pronounce. Because people you say it well. But a lot of people...
What do you say, Baraka?
Barakat. I don't. So, like, you can call me Raks. That's fine. So, after A-levels, I just started going with Adenike because it was just easier for most people to say.
You know, the funny thing is that after A-levels, when me and Dami would go out with you and you say your name was Adenike, Dami and I would be so confused. Like, we knew that was your name, but somehow we couldn't reconcile it.
Yeah, because you guys knew me as Barakat.
I think the only person in A-levels that called you Adenike was Mr. Folabi.
Yes, Mr. Folabi, exactly, yeah.
So even when we went for that festival, design festival we went for, that was that day that I wanted to introduce you to my friend.
Yeah,
I didn't know what to say. So I just said, this is, and then you said your name.
Yeah, I always know, like, my real friends come, like, if you've known me for ages, they're probably going to call me Barakat. But if you are like a new friend, you're probably going to call me Adenike. But there are now some people that want to feel like, no, they know me, but they don't really know me, but they want to call me Barakat. I was like, that's my name. My name is Adenike.
That was so interesting. Because for the longest time, I was just like, why has she been going by Adenike much recently? I could not be bothered to ask. Because I'm just like, it's your name.
No, it's because...
Or like, if I start going by Grace...
Oh, I see what
you'll be so weird.
No, do you know that sometimes I feel a form for an event and I cannot remember which name I've used, whether it's Barakat I used or Adenike. So I just say my surname and then they are able to figure it out. Sometimes I can't remember. Well, the two names work. Oh, join. Why do we even not use all our names?
I don't know.
It's
I feel like if I go by my middle name...
My middle name is more common than your first name. Like Grace is a more common name than Mayoko. So it actually makes sense to go by Mayoko because everyone will know is you.
But they like calling me by Grace.
Who?
Like when I went to do my final year clearance, and they were like, Grace. And I was there just to...
Who is Grace?
I'm like, am I not calling you? I was like, I don't go by Grace. It's just
my
formality.
Yeah.
But speaking of your home personality and your party personality, how was your childhood like?
Chaotic. Like, I was a lot. Like... I was a lot. I'm much calmer now, but I won't say mischievous. I think I was just very curious about life and life around me. So something I remember I used to do as a child was that I liked having people around me. So if we had a visitor, like maybe an uncle, my dad's friend, my mom's friend, I'll go and hide their shoes so that they will not leave. Then when they are going, they will not be looking for their shoes everywhere. And like I'll hide it in such obvious but obscure places. Like somewhere you will never think that the shoe will be. Like I'll go and put it where my dad used to keep his shoes. They will never think that the shoe can be there. Then I'll now bring it. They're like, oh, that's where he kept it. So that was me. I was very curious. I've said that. Very outgoing. I used to talk a lot. I was one of those people that they used to say, oh, very restless and very talkative. I feel like I've even calmed down. I don't talk as much as I used to as a child. I love to read. I used to ask questions. I was that child that used to stress adults. I remember the reason I learned how to use a dictionary was because my mom got tired. She just went to go and buy me dictionary there. this is how you use it. If you don't know the meaning of a word, this is how you check it. Or bring it for me, I'll check it for you. Because she was just so tired. Yeah. I was like a bunch of joy. People loved me as a child. Like people, like adults loved having me around. They loved inviting me to their things. I was fun, like as a child. The life of the party. Here's my party name.
I can't get over that person.
Till today,
one time I
someone
used a
gives the
party name.
anecdotes.
That you have a party name.
Yeah, one of my mom's friends, she say, "Oh, my name is Barakat, well, my party name is Adenike."
The one time I used a party name was not even like a real name. My brother did this thing where he gave everybody in the house one random ass nickname, and mine was Lucy. My sister's was, I don't remember my sister's one, but I remember my auntie's one was Dorothy.
Oh,
So mine was Lucy, and I loved it, but I didn't like my own. Lucy, yes.
Lucy is a nice name.
So we had these neighbors move in, and they were from the abroad.
So
They're like, "What's your name?" And I said, "My name is Lucy."
They would have come to your house like, "Oh, we're looking for Lucy."
Exactly.
Like,
So
who
that
is
is me. Like
Lucy?
after their housewarming, and they came to my house because it was like next door, and they came over, "We're looking for Lucy." And I said, "Who's?"
Oh my god.
It's actually funny because I've actually not thought of that memory in a very long time.
Yeah.
You said that you like being around people, so you were very happy to have like siblings. How many siblings?
I
do you
was
have?
not.
Oh,
I was not.
Well.
I have 3 siblings, but I remember being so upset when my sister, when they brought my sister home as a baby. I was like, why? Like, am I not enough? Because you know how like a new baby comes to the house and like there's just so many, everybody starts giving the baby attention.
Mm-hmm.
So all the attention I used to get, it was almost like they expected me to be grown up within the 2 days that they brought the baby
how
home.
old were you?
I was 2, almost 3. I have a very vivid memory. So I just remember like all of a sudden it was go and sit down. I'm with the baby. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? Why is she here? Who is she? And they were like, oh, this is your new baby sister. On her naming ceremony, I pretended I was purging. So my mom sister was at today. I pretended I was purging so that they would have to be taking me to the toilet just to disrupt the whole ceremony. And obviously, like as we started growing, we'll fight sometimes, we'll be friends sometimes. But I think it was only my first sister, Zainab, that I had like the whole reaction to her birth. By the time my 3rd sister came around, I was old enough to be fascinated by the concept of babies. I wanted to carry her. I wanted to take care of her, but they didn't really let me because I was just like 5 or 6. So who was going to let the child? Then by the time my last sister came around, I feel like my mom was so exhausted at the time that she took the help. So she let me do a lot of stuff. And then with my last sister, she was born 8 days before me, my birthday. So she was born November 26th, and my birthday is December 3rd. Mm-hmm. So my birthday was on her naming ceremony. No, her naming ceremony was on my birthday. So I was like, why? Why? Why didn't they find another day to give birth to this girl? Because it meant that, like, I remember I was going to be 8 years old, and I had plans. My friends were going to come. My friends were going to come to the house and everything. Then all of a sudden, we were doing naming ceremony in the house. It was still nice, because they gave us a table. We had Fanta. They brought food for us and everything. I had like my own mini celebration, but still, I was like, this is how sisters always steal your shine.
You were like 8-ish when you had like the last baby.
Yes.
And you helped with that one.
Yes, I did. I used to make some more and you wait to.
I'm so sorry. At 8.
Yeah, so
I didn't have my first cooking experience, and I was
because you are the last born. I'm the first. That's different. There was no option to not like step up, because I feel like there was a period where we didn't have like help in the house, and so I just had to step up. I used to make, my mom would say, showed me how to make semo the stuff. It was tiny semo for a baby, so it wasn't that hard to like. Thought I would clean her up when she would poop. Sometimes I'll shower for her in the afternoon. I'll rub her powder for her. No, she's a big girl. She doesn't remember all these things. But that's what I used to do for her when she was a baby.
This is a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, the difference between a first-born experience and a last-born experience.
It's crazy.
So
Miles apart.
stark.
Yeah.
And I think that is actually a big thing in our friendship.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I look to you as an older sister.
But we're the same age.
Are Really? You're like a year older than me.
Not really, just a few months.
Okay.
Just a few
But
months.
I feel like, yeah, it actually plays a role.
Yeah, it does.
But before we get into that, how we met.
Oh yeah. I was always the short girl.
Barakat, please. I remember I don't remember when I met you, but I remember when I was aware of your presence, and that was a sociology class. It drove me mad.
Why?
Because you used to argue.
Yeah.
I used to like give your opinions. I'm just like, I don't even understand what people are talking about. Let's start with that. I are giving these opinions, and I'm just like, who is this girl, and why does she have so many opinions about this thing that we don't even know what we are learning at this point? And it was just like, okay, yeah, Barakat exists. I can't even remember.
No, let me tell you how we became friends. Well, we were not friends. How we started talking was we had done one of those Friday tests from Mr. Wakwe.
Business studies.
Business studies. You know, he used to give us this random Friday things to answer some questions.
I have PTSD because I didn't remember.
Yeah. So you now answer the question a certain way. I think you and Dami, because I think you guys did IGCSE.
No,
You didn't.
we didn't.
Anyway, he was like, Sha, that I should come and meet you or come and meet Dami because you answered the question in the specific way that he wanted it to be answered. So I now came to meet you. You now showed me your script and how you answered the question, and I think that was how we started. Like, okay. Before that, I don't think we had ever had a conversation. I don't think I really used to.
I mean, they used to have conversations with us in the class.
What was I doing?
You know what? I don't really remember.
Wow. Life has changed so
Life
much.
has
I'm just thinking
changed.
of all those people, right?
What year
now.
was that?
2015.
2015. Almost like 9. Almost
No, 2014.
2014.
2014, yeah.
10 years.
10 years ago.
Wait,
2014.
this is a bit much for me.
Yeah.
Actually, 10 years ago when A-levels.
Yeah.
And I would say that A-levels was like,
Very formative.
yeah, I think it was a very critical point.
Yeah.
Every single one of us in that place.
Yes.
And for me, going to A-levels was because I didn't want to go to university.
Mm-hmm.
I went to an all-girls school, so I felt like I wasn't ready for whatever university had for me.
Yeah.
I felt like I was not going to acclimatize to anything. I would be so confused. I was so sheltered.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I convinced my dad, but we're just like, yeah, come on. I need A-levels too, so do it. Actually, I went to foundation. They were like, oh, yeah, do A-levels. So that's how I ended up there. I don't know if we would be friends if we did not meet A-levels.
No, we will not.
Do we ever even meet each other?
We probably would have, because you went to Unilag and I went to Unilag too. So we would have been in the same hostel, but I don't think we would have ever spoken or been friends.
So it's like, do we even run in the same circles like that?
No.
I think but
And we like a lot of different things, so I don't think that would.
I feel like we like a lot of the same things also.
Like what?
Books.
Yes, but I don't know, you're not in literary circles, for
Okay,
example.
actually, no, I'm not.
Do you get what I mean? So I don't think that we would have ever met because we just would have run on parallel lines. Yeah.
It's actually quite crazy. I'm looking back, I'm like, would I have ever met anybody in our class A-levels if I wasn't in that school? I don't think so.
No, probably not. So interesting.
It's so interesting, really. But then I remember in A-levels, one thing, I think when I really got to, when I say love you, in A-levels was our first sociology A-level exam. Is that sociology class, honestly? Because I did not get that course in AS.
But I think I have no memory of you. Well, to be fair, I used to sleep in class. So honestly, yeah, you used to sleep in class. I don't even know. It was like you were a wallflower. Because it was like nobody used to notice that you were asleep. The teachers, they didn't used to disturb you. I'm like, this girl, she's always sleeping. You bring your Cocoa Pops in that your...
My Cocoa Pops!
You bring it.
I had a...
The only time we used to wake up when it was time to bring flash drive and get movies. But I knew you were smart, so I guess it didn't really bother me because, like, I knew that, okay, you were actually smart and they used to read the day, whatever. But you were always sleeping in class. Always sleeping there. She would wake up when it was time for lunch. That she didn't used to eat. She just used to go there and socialize during lunch. Did you used to eat? You didn't used to eat lunch.
I had... So my thing with the food there is, I didn't trust their breakfast. First of all, I was wearing makeup to class.
Yes.
So I had to do my makeup.
Yeah.
It was more important than breakfast.
Yeah.
I had Cocoa Pops. So that was fine by me. I didn't even eat cereal now. And then for lunch, I had specific lunches. The food was just really weird. And I think it was later on that I got, I think it was even you. I was like, wait, can I eat swallow?
Yeah, I used to eat swallow because I didn't like the food. I used to eat swallow every
Because the
day.
swallow was much better than
It was
the
way,
normal
way,
lunch.
way better.
So I think that's when I got better at lunch.
Yeah.
But I think my thing with class, sleeping in class, is that I found the lectures so boring. I just find lectures really boring.
Yeah.
I can't just sit somewhere and someone is talking to me or telling me to write notes. I can't learn like that. Like the time I thrived the most, my best CGPA like was that pandemic time because I didn't have to listen to anything. Just give me my materials.
Are you
verified? But the thing about that sociology was, I read it. I didn't understand it.
It's true because you were sleeping in class.
I just did not get it. It's Durkheim. It's this thing. I didn't get it. And I remember, I think the day before our AS exam, I was filled with fear.
Yeah.
Because I just did not see a way out. Like if I went to that exam, I would have been able to write anything.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember this, but you read the textbook to me.
Oh, really?
That entire, yeah.
I read the textbook to you.
That is what I used and I entered my exam. You read it to
Why
me.
was I not reading my own books? Why was I reading the textbook to you?
You were reading the textbook to me and explaining. So you were reading like you were also
wow.
learning.
I'm nice, so.
And I was just like, oh my goodness. Like I really like this person because you pretty much saved me from this an F. And I think that was when
the annoying girl that had opinion was who came to save your ass.
I think that was when maybe in my head formed our dynamic or relationship where I kind of saw you as an older sister. I actually did not think of this until like yesterday when I was prepping for this.
That's so cute.
Whilst we're on the same age, if you say something or if you say I should do something, I would take your opinion really highly than anybody else.
Wow.
I'm
blushing. What?
Well, you can actually see it. Like putting efforts in this, the career I currently have.
Yeah.
It's literally like I say, Michael, I think you'll be good with this, or this will be nice.
One thing about me, I don't know why I love advising.
You love it.
I'm always, do you know, sometimes when people are telling me something, I'm like, hold yourself back. They're not asking you for your help because my brain is literally like, oh, I get so excited.
Is it like a first one thing?
I don't know. I think, and I was thinking about this the other way. I think it is a gift that I have. And the way that it came to my head is that I have a gift of being a midwife. That's the best way I can explain it. Whether you're having a physical baby or anything else.
Okay.
If you come to me and you're telling me something, it's just like I see a picture in my head of what that thing could be. And somehow I always know someone you can talk to, a resource that I can point you to just get you in that direction of things. And it's always like, well, maybe not always, it still depends on action from the person, but it almost always works out for whoever, because I can't tell you how many people have told me that, oh, do you know that is this thing that you mentioned, or this book that you recommended, or this thing that you sent me to do, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing today. So I actually think that it's a gift because it's my own life arranged. It never works. It doesn't work. Like the way I can like distill things with such clarity when it comes to
be a life coach.
I might consider it.
Consider it honestly
Because
you have testimonials already.
I also remember we started to talk because as usual, people started pairing up into relationships, and there were all these stories in class, and then the December party, the Great Kakao Massacre. It happened, and then we had this group chat because people said that we were. What did they even say about AS girls?
We are bitches.
Yeah, but it's not me. I wasn't part of the people that they were calling bitches. I was not in the social side. I was pretty invisible in that.
I didn't even know what we did. What did we do?
I don't know. I was not part of the people, but I just took it as an opportunity to make friends with you people since they insulted all of us. But I was not even involved because the only people I used to talk to mostly were day students when we were waiting for our drivers to come and pick us. I was pretty invisible in that school. I didn't really have much of a social life aside from with you guys in the class. Like I didn't have a lot of friends in foundation or anything like that.
So post A levels, aka when our life started to
further
pass.
When we entered the real world.
I mean, it's nice that
It's funny now. It wasn't funny then.
It was not funny then. So anyway, post A levels, when I think we somehow entered the real world, but it was so jarring because
I think
it was like everything was
nothing went to plan. Is the best way that I can describe it. So we went from preparing for our Ep2 exams, in the hostel, being there for extension, doing all of those things, right? Writing our Ep2 exams, to preparing for graduation. I remember Fisayo's mom made all of our clothes.
Yeah.
We did still think that we were not going to go to be in uni that September. It didn't occur to us in any way. But I remember something. On our graduation, there was a guy that came. It was like God was speaking to us, but we did not realize we were laughing.
We're like, no, that cannot be us.
That cannot be us. A guy came and told us he was an ex-Bridge House student that couldn't get to go abroad to study, and he was telling, for people who are watching, right, when you go to do A levels in like Bridge House, Oxbridge, your plan is not really to study in Nigeria, even though it's a path. But if you wanted to study in Nigeria, you probably have gone there straight from secondary school. So if you're in A levels, it means that you don't have any plans to stay in Nigeria. And I don't think it's necessarily because I hated Nigeria or I wanted to be out of Nigeria at all costs. I just really liked learning. And I felt like the best education I could probably get would be like in the UK, because all my life I had studied with the British curriculum.
Yeah.
I had written British exams. So he was like, okay, this is the pinnacle of my educational career. Anyway, this guy comes and talks about how he did really well in his Cambridge exams, but he ended up going to Unilag, and he was really sad for a while. But now he's a graduate, he studied law, he's thriving, and we were in the audience and we were laughing. Because we were not laughing at him. No. We were laughing because we thought, oh, yeah, that can never be us.
Let's just pause because I'm triggered. The thing is, I don't even think I remember that graduation until you said, like, I remember that guy.
Yeah.
I remember that reaction. But while going through it, like, I didn't remember that something like that really happened.
I remembered. I used to think about it all the time, that
was this a forewarning?
Was this a forewarning?
Prepare yourself.
Should we have been more serious? Should we have listened to the guy? Should we have taken his number? Should we actually have engaged with that guy? Because he came and he was so serious that, from this time, your future may not turn out the way you expect it to. Even though you've passed your exams, there are so many things that are outside of your control.
Nobody listens to graduation speeches.
Exactly. Because there's so much euphoria. You feel like you're on top of the world. You can do anything. So you're like, oh, all these people, they don't know that I literally just passed my exams in flying colors.
And the funny thing is that the amount of us that stayed in Nigeria
because that was the year that Buhari became president, 2015, and the exchange rates just ballooned. So people who could afford, I think that a lot of parents, it wasn't that they could not afford the first year, it's that they did not know what was going to happen
in the next few years.
Yes, and they didn't want to start what they couldn't finish, because the way the exchange rate actually dropped at that time, it was actually a lot. It doubled.
Yeah, it did double.
It doubled, and everyone like, for it to double, we don't know how much. Well, now it is like 10 times what it used to be.
Like, it was crazy. I remember, like, during that period after A levels, that May time. And I was in my dad's office. I said, this is post-UTME form. Just fill it. It's not like you're going.
He gave you post-UTME form.
He gave me the form that just fill it. That is not like you're going to go there. No. Just to have backup. So why do we need backup? I trust in God. I am going to be abroad. And I filled it. I was like, okay, yeah, what university should I put? So I put University of Lagos and University of Ibadan. And I'm very happy that it happened like that. And I submitted it because my dad came back and was like, oh, put Ibadan first. I'm like, I've submitted University of Lagos as first choice. And that's how we started going to Ibadan. So then they had to give me admission. It did not work out. I said that was great. And I found myself, crying.
How did it happen? From planning to get visa, tier 4 visa, what do they call it?
Even the crying was not that I was even already, I'd started lectures. No. The crime was, please give me admission. I was sitting in like the dean's
Oh,
office,
okay.
trying to meet one professor.
Yeah.
Because like I thought I was
You
gonna
didn't do
got.
jam, you didn't do all the things they would
So-
have needed you.
It was this thing, and then I was interning at this law firm that made me realize I didn't want to do law, but I put my course for
Me, I was so confused
It was-
when you used to say that you wanted to be a lawyer. Because I was like, is this girl lost? We all did law in A-levels. She did law. She said when she gets to university, they will teach her everything. So she doesn't need to do. I said, okay, if you want to be a lawyer, you at least do the thing that you claim to be interested in doing. She didn't do that. She did economics instead. And I'm glad that economics really showed you people paper. When people used to complain about economics, I mean that I'm doing law. I'm a fool, Abby.
like economics. I mean,
That was like
economics
the toughest.
tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I did 20 years of past questions to pass to get an A or something. That thing was. I remember one
And
test.
you guys never had a stable teacher.
We had one
until
at the
later.
end, yeah. I remember one test that me and Dami did. We know we did awful.
I remember. I think I remember
Yeah,
that.
Dami collected my score, collected our script because we knew that if we saw that score, we would have been discouraged.
Yeah.
And that was the only way. Like, okay, after this, we will sit up,
Yeah.
and that's what just happened.
Yeah.
But like post, there was the whole thing with Bridge House where we were not around for a while.
Yes.
Because of fun.
Yes.
But then post Bridge House, I felt like it was like you disappeared. We didn't know where you were.
I didn't know where I was. I was going through. So, okay. So, in Ep2, I think that was when everything started to fall apart slowly. But I didn't think that it would fall apart that much because I still applied to Cambridge. I was still applying to schools. I think I just felt like, oh, everything will work out. All I have to do is pass my exams. So I worked hard. I wasn't in school for a few months, but I came back. I came to write my exams. I passed. I did everything. I think there was also a part of me that didn't just know how to explain to you guys. I think you people were also going through your own.
We're also going through our own thing, trying to figure it out.
But I think you put in post UTME form for JAM that year and everything. I didn't. I didn't have any backup for uni. Like I had so much faith. I even thought maybe I'll get a scholarship. Somehow in my head it was just all going to work out. So I didn't make any backup plans for uni. I didn't fill any forms. I didn't write. I didn't do post UTME. I didn't do any of those things. I didn't pick up the direct entry form. And I think because of
it was everything.
yeah, my parents were like, there was a lot going on in my family at the time. I remember my whole family had to move cities. We didn't have a house in Lagos anymore. It was just a really, really a time of a lot of upheaval in our lives. So I don't even think anybody thought of the fact that, oh, I didn't have any direct entry form or any plans for uni until it was too late. And I think that I just became so devastated and depressed. That's the best way I can think of it. It was just a really dark year because everyone was in school. You and Dami had gotten into uni.
Dami, Kome. Even
You guys had
that other
gotten
person
into
that I don't talk to that starts with H.
You guys had gotten into Unilag.
Yeah.
The people that had gone abroad had gone abroad. So it was just me that was not doing anything. I didn't have anything to say to you guys. It was like, okay, what am I going to talk about? I'm at home. What's the plan? I didn't have any answer to any question that anybody could ask me. I was really sad. I felt like I had worked hard, put in effort, even with all the upheaval that happened to make sure I, passed my exams, and it still did not work out. So what was the point of life? Like I had an existential crisis because with school, you work hard, you read, you pass your exams, and it was like, okay, I've done everything I'm supposed to do, but like I had A stars. Why am I not in uni? And I'm not even trying to clown anybody, but even the people that they had used, like they were in school.
Yeah, they were in a school.
Do you get what I mean? So people that were not even serious, they got into school like they were fine. They were in a school. Whether the school was the top school or not, that's not the point. But they were sharp in a school. So I think that was the year I decided that, okay, maybe I should start like working on my career and just trying to do something so that I'll not just be like useless. I had always done some like side work, even when we were in Bridge House. Yeah, I'd always done some side work, but that was when I decided to like, okay, let me press forward and take things seriously. So I remember I got an internship over that summer. I think we still saw each other a bit that summer.
We did?
Yeah, summer after graduation. We still saw it before everyone went to school.
Okay.
I got an internship for a company in Lekki, and I was living in my uncle's house nearby at the time. And that was when I realized, okay, I will never do any job that requires me to go to the office every day, and I'm not since then. That like I did that internship. They were not paying me a lot of money, but I'll go to work every day. It was a content creation job because I could write. It also started showing me that nobody really cared. Like, to an extent, nobody really cared that I was not in uni yet. Nobody cared that I didn't have a degree. What they cared about for that type of job was, could I do the work? So it was like, okay, interesting. But I think I was just fighting for my life that year, trying to, put up a brave face, trying to make sense of the world, and why wasn't I in school? And then it now became clear that even after that year, it wasn't like, stay at home this year, you go abroad next year. It was, the option you have is to go to Unilag. So I think it was when I now started my Unilag process, your birthday or something, that we went to Love Garden. That was around the period that we reconnected.
Yeah.
I think that was when I reconnected with you and Dami and Kome. And sometimes I'll come and hang with you in Unilag. And then I got in the year after that. Yeah. I got in 2018. Or 2017. I don't know.
I remember my first year of Unilag. I was so angry. I was so angry that I was there. I was so angry with God.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, exactly. That was another thing.
I was so angry.
That was another thing. I was having a crisis of faith. Like, remember, I used to be like such a serious Muslim. I used to cut my hair, everything. And then, obviously, I wasn't worshiping God to make things happen for me, or because I felt like he owed me or anything. But I was like, how can I be here with nothing? Like, nothing at all. Like, so I was like, it's so serious. Is it that there's no God, or there's a God and he doesn't care about me, so means I don't care about him? And that was like,
I found myself there. Like, I'm Christian and I've been Christian all through, but also it was just the thing that I didn't understand.
Yeah,
because that A level, I put in so much work. I've never put in work like that in my life. I deprived myself so much that I could like get this thing done. And
I remember we used to talk about going to Paris and driving your vintage car, and we had all these dreams and plans for how we will be when we are in uni, how we will visit each other in our different cities, how our schools are not so far from each other, so we'll take the train, we'll spend the weekend, we'll do sleepovers. None of it is in ourselves.
But that thing of faith was something that I think throughout uni, I really struggled with, because every time someone tells me that, you're in Unilag, you don't seem like you're in Unilag person, I'm like,
I was not there.
I was not in that school. I just went to lectures. After that, go to lectures, write my tests, write my exams. I wasn't interested because, first of all, I hated my course.
Yeah.
And then I hated the place I was doing. I mean, if I was doing it abroad, maybe. Maybe. But I'm doing it in this place that was first of all a culture shock. We were like, 400 in the class.
Thank you. I remember the first day I walked into a class. I will never forget. Law of contracts. I looked around. I saw like 500 people. I just sat down and I started crying. I was so lost. I was like, is this where I'm going to be? The lecturer was in front without a microphone. The whole place was boiling. Some people were sitting on the floor. I was like, what is going on here?
Like, imagine coming from how many were in the class? 10?
We were like 10. Yes. With 2 ACs.
In the class. That we wearing sweater. So this face. I don't think I knew how to cope.
Yeah, I didn't.
And I don't think I really took school seriously, because I was working during that time also. I started like a job to magazine. I didn't know the difference between like legal methods and legal systems. I didn't know what was going on in class. I would go once in a while. There was no attendance at that time. I would go to work, anything. And then when it was time for tests, when I did tests, I said, this is rubbish. I have to be serious for my exams. That I was like, okay, I need to leave this job and then face my exams. But that crisis of faith, I think, went on from my second year to my final year.
Wow.
because well, just this thing where like, oh, if you trust in God and everything, it will work
It will
out.
work out.
My thing was not working out, and there were so many things I encountered, even just reading Unilag. There was the fact that you would work hard in the school and you will not get your desired grades.
Yep. It was as if nothing you did mattered.
Exactly, and I was just like, where does God come in to help me with this? Like, I just never know how to even trust in God again because that level thing just shattered me in ways. I also think it brought some strain. I don't think my parents noticed that, but between me and my parents, mostly my dad,
Same.
because I just could not trust him, and I know that it was like beyond his.
Yeah, but I feel like they didn't communicate.
I'm not saying if there's not another competent with me, then I'll have taken it.
Now, as an adult, I'm saying that it's not that straightforward and it's not that easy either. So to be fair to them, I'm sure they tried their best.
You know, we are sitting here, and none of us are lawyers. None.
Me, I didn't even finish. At least you finished your, like.
Well, I didn't go to law school,
Fair enough. But you should have finished it.
but I was surprised that you dropped out.
No, because I was like, number one, I don't want to be a lawyer. Number two, this degree has no end date. Like, and at the time, I think that I had started realizing what I wanted to do in my life. And I was so frustrated by the fact that I was doing a degree that I didn't care for, not learning anything. It's not like, oh, I'm learning something, so there's value in this. Because I actually like school and I like learning. And Unilag was such a letdown for me in that respect. There was, maybe in my own class, so, and because I did, your story may be different, but there was no academic stimulation. There was no, you said it yourself, I used to engage with teachers, we used to exchange opinions, but I feel like there was a thin line between doing that. Some lecturers, to be fair, could take it, but some would start getting offended. So I didn't know how to like manage those dynamics. So it just made me shut down the academic part of myself and focus on my hustle. So I think that because my career had really, really taken off at the time, then COVID came. I still struggled through COVID. Then during COVID, they went on a strike. And I'm like, okay, I'm not like, I can't be doing this thing in perpetuity. I don't even want to be a lawyer. So I prayed about it and I felt like, yeah, I didn't have to be there. And I left.
What was the reaction? Did you tell anybody that you were leaving?
I told my parents, and I think, to be fair to them, they were very logical about it. In sense of, my dad was like, well, you don't want to be a lawyer. You are not learning anything. What you would use for a degree for, you are already getting like real world experience.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I think that was it. And I told them that I can always do another degree. So I think that was the compromise that we came to. That
So, with your like side hustle in quotes,
wasn't a side hustle. I
Your
was
real
working
hustle.
in my career.
was taking off, so you were like, you know, financially supporting yourself to a large extent.
I think I financially supported myself since I was like, aside like school fees and everything, since I was like 16 or 17. Because I had always worked, but aside like big ticket things, then when the whole bridge house thing happened, not going abroad, it made me feel like I had to start working because that was the only way I could have some sense of security, especially because of all the upheaval going on in my family at the time. So I was like, okay, if I have my own money, I'll know what my money can do and what my money cannot do, and nobody will ever like be able to say, again, I'm not saying this as an indictment to my parents. They did like the best they could afford. Like, they sent me to bridge house, they sacrificed a lot to make that happen. But I think that my way of coping with that trauma was I have to have my own money so I can feel like I'm in control of my life. So I remember the job I got was paying me 50K, the one that was in Lekki, and that was when I realized I didn't want to do that. After that, I got another job. That one was paying $500 at the time, which was like 180K. So I had money. Like, I started growing in my career, meeting people. I started to learn more about the tech world, which led to me, was my writing that led to me getting into like Future Africa and starting Future Africa. And I started to earn like a whole lot more than I was even earning when I was doing the 180K job, because I quit it when I was starting in Ilag. So I still used to freelance. I used to freelance on like Upwork. I'll write articles, I'll write all these things, and I had money. Like I was doing okay. I wasn't relying on my parents for allowance or anything like that. So I feel like I've been financially independent for like the last 10 years of my life.
So,
To a large extent.
Future Africa.
Yeah.
First of all, I never understood what you were doing. And I'm just like, how did Barakat get into this state?
Yeah.
So it's venture capitalism.
Yes. Yeah, venture capital. I work as a venture capitalist.
So what's that?
Basically, I get money from rich people and find people with crazy ideas that can grow really big and make a lot of money. And I give the money to those people when they're starting out. That's just it.
So how did you like realize this was something you could do? Because everything before, writing.
Yeah, it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And so I think this is a place to start with, to say that after, the chaos that happened, I was depressed. It's now that I realized it, but like you said, that I disappeared. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I wasn't really engaging it with the world. I didn't have any ambition again. It really affected my ability to like dream. I started really focusing on survival and indexing heavily on survival and just like doing things that I could control. Of course, my relationship with God, like I was a pretty serious Muslim. I felt like God was on my side. God was in my corner. The whole thing felt like a betrayal. That side of my life just died. My relationship with God. It was when I was in Unilag in 2018. I didn't really have any friends in Unilag at the time, even my classmates, because they were all younger than me. So it was either they were way younger than me or way older. So I didn't really feel like I belonged in that sense. There were really people. I didn't find anyone that was like maybe a year my age. Not that age really has much to do with friendship, but I had started working. Like I had seen much of life. I could not relate to people that finished secondary school in 2017. Like our mindsets were just worlds apart. So the things they used to stress over, this person should be class rep. It's like they used to piss me off in a lot of the things they used to do and say, it's not their fault. It was just like the age that they were. So I didn't have a lot of friends. But it's a long story how I got saved. I got saved. And when I had that, I started my journey of healing, of really healing from all the things that had happened, all the pain that had happened. So at the time, I wasn't working a full-time job. But I remember just really saying that I surrendered my life to God. It felt like everything I had tried to do before then had not really worked out. So even though I had worked and earned money, it wasn't like a big job. Future Africa happened as, you write, come and write for a publication for entrepreneurs. So we'll start this publication, and it was Benjo that introduced to it, who was one of the co-founders at Future Africa. And so we were like, okay, let's start the publication. We started the publication, started writing. It was really tough. I didn't feel like I could do it. I didn't feel like I was qualified enough or anything. But we started to realize really fast that what people really needed was not necessarily advice on how to grow their companies. What they needed was money. Before then, we would say, let's introduce them to other investors, because we didn't have the money. But something interesting was that when we were starting Future Africa, God had said to me that it was going to be a fund. It was going to invest in companies. It was going to be all these things that I do not even have a frame of reference for. I did not know what those things were. But I remember writing them down in my journal as I was hearing God say them to me. And I think that's the power of working with God. He can lead you in a path. He can show you what something will become. He can show you the capacity and the gifts and talents that you have that you don't really realize you have. And so how did they become a fund? We realized that people said that they wanted they needed money. We first tried to do matching with investors. It wasn't really like working. working out a lot because there was very little we could control. You can only introduce people to people. You don't have any control over what goes on. So we decided at the end of 2019 that we would raise a $1 million fund and invest $50,000 in 20 companies. Before then, he had personally invested in companies from his own income. He had done some angel investments. So based on that, there was sort of a track record to show investors. And we're pretty confident that it wouldn't take that much to raise $1 million. I know it sounds like a lot of money.
Yeah.
It is a lot of money, but in the context of the high net worth individuals that we're looking to get the money from, it was just like people will be able to trust him to give him that money. And it's just 1 million, right? I would still do the other things. COVID happened. So in the conversations with those people just didn't go very far.
Mm-hmm.
But here's how I got started on the path to venture capital. So the person that I was working with as like his assistant / chief of staff left, and I had a dream. I don't think I've ever said this part of the story publicly. In that dream, basically, God just said to me that I should ask him to work as his assistant. So I went from being like editor-in-chief of the publication and so who would have probably interviewed whoever was applying to be the assistant. I said, okay, I would do this role because I feel like that's what God wants me to do right now. And he was actually really gracious about it. So it was in that process I started to learn a lot from his like angel investments, from some of the investments he had done with friends. I just started to learn and be curious about it. So when COVID hit and we couldn't get money, I was like, why don't we get money from individuals, pull it together and put it in a particular company? That company was going to die if they didn't get funding. And not that they would have died, but they won't have been able to like hit their next milestone, basically. It was that period of COVID, that March, April, early period where nobody knew what was going to happen. There was so much uncertainty in the world. That idea, I believe that it came from God. The idea to pull money from different people. It wasn't like an expert opinion. It wasn't like I knew how everything would go. We didn't really think it was going to work, but I was like, you know what, let's try. Some thought it would work. It was just like a divided pros and cons type of thing. Let's try. We put the word out. I remember we wrote an article. We had people fill a form to indicate interest. 200 people filled the form. Mm-hmm. Long story short, in 48 to 72 hours, we had raised $138,000 for that particular company. And our target to raise money for it was $100,000.
Wow. And
I was like, oh, okay. I can have an idea and see it through and it to come out in this tangible outcome. So that first milestone really gave me a lot of confidence. I had to write the investment memo. I had to create the entity that will take the investments. I learned how to do all of these things, all the different aspects of getting a company ready for investment, work with the founders to pitch, listen to their pitch, just all the different aspects. So that was how I started my journey of being a VC. I didn't even know it existed before then. It was more of, I was in this thing, I saw a problem. This was the solution to the problem, the solution that God gave me. It did not come from my own wisdom or wide reading or anything like that. It was literally an idea that God gave to me and it all worked out. And based on that, I was like, okay, something can come out of this. This is where God has put me. And then I went back to my old journals and I saw all the words about how this would be a fund. I was like, oh, okay, this thing is happening, it's coming through. It wasn't a fund in the conventional way, and that's something. So this approach we took was a very unconventional way, community-based investing. Usually you get money from, like I said, high net worth individuals are in control all the money. But this one, with every deal, we would have to present it to the community. If they wanted to invest, they would put in the money. Do you understand? It was a very unconventional way of achieving the fund goal, but it worked. And I started to do it. I started to grow. I started to really learn about it. I started to become more confident. I stopped being chief of staff. I now became principal of the fund. Yeah. I was managing our funds. I started the second fund, worked on raising our $10 million reading fund. So that was how I literally got into it. So at that time, it was like, I don't want to be a lawyer. I really like doing this. I might as well focus and put my energy into this. So that was how it happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think this is the first time I'm telling me the full story of how that worked out. Something you kept talking about and hitting on is that you heard from God. And you've talked about your faith quite widely.
Yeah.
You have your websites, your medium. So I'm not going to even
You
ask.
you can plug those things for
Definitely
in context.
That would be in the description box for you all to read. Something that that I'm very curious about, which also has inspired my walk with God, is hearing from God. And I think one of the events that you hosted that I went for, you gave this book on how to hear from God. Didn't read it though. It's still in my shelf. Maybe one day I will get to it. But when did you realize that God could speak to you directly?
I think it was the day I got saved. It was in a church concert, and the way it happened, nobody came to preach to me. I felt like liquid love in my heart that was so broken, so bruised, so battered. Felt like liquid love was poured inside my heart. Never felt that way in my life. I felt like all my sadness, depression, everything melted away. It felt like I don't know how to explain it. It was amazing. And I just knew that that was God telling me that he loved me. I didn't hear a voice. The pastor came to introduce the next segment of the program, and he said something. He said a verse from the book of John. He said, just as the bronze snake was lifted up so that the children of Israel could look at it and be healed. I'm paraphrasing now. So also must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whoever looks upon him and places their faith in him will be saved and freed from all their sins. And that triggered a memory for me. So there used to be this my book of Bible stories, and he had that picture of a snake and a man that snake had bitten. Yeah, you know it?
Yeah, I have the book.
You had the book?
Yes.
I know I told you I used to read a lot as a child,
Yes.
like I love books. And I remember that. And in that moment, the gospel made sense to me. Like, I can't help myself. Man cannot help himself, or woman cannot help herself, whichever one. We need God. Yeah. And all God asks of us is to place our faith in him for our righteousness, and we'll be cleansed of all our sin, and we become children of God. And for someone who had carried so much weight, like I said, firstborn issues, trying to control my life, it didn't work out. That was like the invitation I did not know that I needed. Also, you mean I can rest? I don't need to be perfect. And that was how my journey started. So because I came from, and I used to be a Muslim, I think I didn't have any preconceived notions about God. I was like, if he could speak to me like through an image of something, and that means I can talk to this God and he will answer me. It was a very childlike expectation, but I saw it help me. And so I remember going home that day, I was like, oh, now what's next? What do I have to do? And part of me was like, oh God, my parents are going to kill me, because they are Muslim. I was just thinking a lot of thoughts. And I heard the voice say that I should download the Bible app, and I should read the book of John, and I should also write out everything that had happened to me that day in my journal, right? So I did that, and I started to read the book of John, and I'll write out what I was learning. I would also write out questions that I had, and I'll pause and wait for a response, and the response will come. And how I would know it's not me was that I was not thinking those thoughts before. The thoughts were usually always smarter than anything I could have conceived, and the thoughts were always true. They were always in line
with the
Bible. But I still don't think I realized at that point that God was talking to me. Let me put it that way. I didn't really realize. But what made me realize really was that I had, in those first few days after I got saved, there was a haze. I remember I was in that my room, the AC was on, but I was hot all over my body. It was like there was fire inside my skin. and I didn't know what was happening to me. I was scared. I was like, what is going on? So I called Binjo's mom because she's a pastor. Binjo is my partner. And she said, oh, that means that's the Holy Spirit. Like, that's a manifestation of the Holy Spirit. So she prayed for me and everything, but she was like, you know what, I'll send you some books. She sent me How to Hear God by Joyce Meyer.
That's the book.
That's the book I guess. And I read that book and I realized, oh, wow, so you mean I don't have to figure out life by myself? I can hear from God through the Bible by talking to him and having a conversation with him. And that was how I started to practice to hear from God. I would ask him things. Sometimes the answer will come immediately. Sometimes it wouldn't. Sometimes it would be so completely wrong. Like, sometimes it was just my imagination.
It's like training a muscle.
It was like training a muscle, definitely. But the day I realized that, no, I'm hearing God, like the event that is canon in my mind is, you know that hostel now, we used to have water and we used to have lights, right? This was before they really started having issues. This was the first year I was there. I don't think you had.
I wasn't there, yeah.
At that time. We always used to have water and we always used to have lights. So I felt in my heart very strongly that I should fetch water inside the buckets. This was a Saturday evening because there will not be water the next day. And it was such a crazy thing because there had never not been water. There had always been lights. And guess what? The next day, something happened, I think to a pipe or something, and there was no water. But I had water because I felt so strongly that I should fetch water inside buckets. Before then, I needed to keep water in bucket because you know when you keep water inside a bucket for a long time, it starts to...
Underneath.
Because we always had water, there was no need. And I was like, there's no way I could have known this. There's no way I could have thought of it. There's no way I could have imagined that there will be no water because it's not like, oh, sometimes there's water. There had never been an issue. It wasn't like I moved in. That place was brand new when I moved in, right? So everything was working perfectly. And I was like, oh, God knows and God cares, right? So I started to talk to him, ask him questions about things. Sometimes the answer will come when I was reading my Bible. Sometimes I will hear the answer like the way I'm talking to you and you're hearing me now. I will hear it in my voice. Sometimes I will have a dream. Sometimes it will be someone else that he will send to me to give me the answer. But I think the most important thing was opening my heart to the possibility that God speaks. God wants to speak to me, and God is always speaking to me. I think that was the game changer. I didn't realize that not everyone hears from, not every Christian hears from God for a while until I'll say, oh, God told me that. They'll say, oh, you can hear God.
I think that was the thing that really happened that made me want to hear God. Like, back I would be like, oh yeah, God told me. I was like, oh.
I didn't realize that it was not. I thought every Christian could do it.
I was like, oh, I mean, yeah, read the Bible, we speak to the Bible, we get that one. But really, and I think that is what really drove me to be more conscious and to be more open and to be more surrendered.
Yes.
To listen and to hear. And I would say like the last year, it has been pretty amazing. Something happened quite recently with like a friend, and I reached out. I was just like, I saw you somewhere. God told me that you are somewhere.
Yeah.
And then when she said the entire story,
wow,
it just, I was like, wow, like wow, and it was like God really does, like it just
cares.
It's like even the most little things,
the most little things.
The littlest
like why do
things.
you care that I will not have water to shower
exactly
in the morning? Like it's not a big deal, but it's also a big deal at the same time.
It's really amazing. I think it's one of the most beautiful things.
Yeah.
Quite honestly. But yeah, after you got saved, tell your parents are going to kill you. I know you've talked about this in like one live video I joined.
Oh, a live video, yeah.
Yeah, where you were like, you know, it's coming from a very devout Muslim family that was difficult.
Yeah, it was.
And, you know, having to navigate that over the years and everything that has happened, it's maybe touchy. But I think one thing that I've thought of is with monumental like life moments that you would want to share with your family and parents, how have you been navigating that and how does that feel?
I think that it's the hardest thing that I've had to deal with as an adult. Because, and this is not even just about being a Christian. I think that parents have you, they raise you, they give you all their love. I mean, for people who have healthy dynamics with their parents, I was pretty close with my dad and also my mom as well. Like, you remember my dad, like when he could, he would always come to school.
Yeah, I met him.
And I used to always talk about my dad a lot. So like we were actually really, really close friends and everything. But as an adult, sometimes you may have to make a choice or take a direction that doesn't align with what your parents want or that they don't agree with. And this could have been anything. It could have been when I wanted to leave Unilag. If they didn't agree with it, would I have stayed to please them at my own detriment? And it's not without a cost. It will cost me my time, my sanity. I wouldn't be here right now if I stayed, because literally the year after I got an opportunity to do a course here, which is what has ballooned to me living here right now. Do you understand? Like, there are so many, it should have changed the trajectory of my life. So I think as an adult, there are choices you would have to make. And I think parents don't prepare themselves that a day will come when my child would become their own person. And they don't know how to deal with you as your own person outside of complete alignment with them. So, like, I love my parents, but obviously my choice to be a Christian has strained that relationship in many ways. It hurts them. I think they don't fully understand it. I have tried to explain it, but I don't think they can understand it, because to be fair to them, they did everything to raise me as a Muslim. So it's like, what is the reason for this switch? What did we do wrong? From their own worldview, what I'm doing is me being on the wrong path. And like, that's their own perspective. Like, we talk, but that bond and that relationship,
I still talk.
yeah, from time to time, but it's not how we used to be. We're not close anymore. They don't know every detail of my life. But it is tough. But at the same time, it's like this. You either choose to be everything your parents want you to be and not be true to yourself. And at the end of the day, it's your own life. One day, yes, your parents will be happy with you, but you'll be dissatisfied. And I see so many people do this thing. People are in careers because this is what my dad wants me to do, or this is what my mom said I should do. And I feel like that's okay. That's fine up until a certain age, at which point you have to ask yourself, are you always going to live your life only things that your parents agree with, even when you know you'd rather be doing something else? But it's not easy. It's not. And a lot of people are not able to like navigate the aftermath. You have to deal with maybe your parents refusing to
Financially support you.
You have to deal with them maybe not talking to you. So it's not easy. But the cost of not doing that is that I'll have that relationship with them, but I'll be living a life that is not authentic. And another thing is that God is superior to them. I cannot obey them at the cost of obeying God. But my prayer is that a day will come where I would be able to have all of that. Maybe by God's grace, when they get saved, I firmly believe that, it would redeem this current time. But it's tough because a lot of things that have happened in my life have happened in ways that I did not expect they would look. So I hit milestones that looked completely different from what I imagined that they will be. And God is faithful. He has put people around me. But it's not the same. Sometimes I feel like I'm not fat and my parents are still alive. But it's just, you have to do what you have to do. And I remember that I always tell myself that it's because they love me. If they didn't love me, I don't think that all of these things will affect them this much. But I can't lie, it's tough. And I think for them as well, they did sacrifice a lot. I feel guilty for that. My parents made a lot of sacrifices for me. I hope they don't feel like I'm turning my back on all of that now. But at the same time, they are not going to live my life. I'm still the one that has to live my life. And then I feel like that generation too, they really surrendered to their own parents in a lot of ways. And I think they had the expectation that their children will do the same. So when their children don't really align, it cracks their worldview in like, how was this an option? Could I have said no? So I think that for them, they just don't know how to reconcile that you can make a decision, but that decision doesn't need to affect like the relationship. I don't think that they're able to navigate that. It's tough. I think about it every day. It sucks, but you just have to move on with life and live in the reality of what you have and hope that one day it's going to look different or be better.
Anyway, no, we're in the UK. We are having drinks.
Yeah. Cheers, girl.
Cheers. What will you rate this drink?
I'll say
Out of 5.
3.
I'll give it a 3.5. I actually quite enjoyed it.
Drinks in this country, I don't even bother. They are not sweet.
I feel like it's okay. It's not.
It's not sweet. I don't like. I drank Capri Sun. I'm like, what's this? Like, oh my, there's a way they taste in Nigeria that is just not the same. So I'm like, this is a waste of calories. Not this one in particular, but just drinks in general. Like, there's no point. I might as well just drink water.
I feel like in the UK though, I feel like if we came to the UK,
and we eventually are here.
Like,
life is crazy.
in fact, I feel like if we came to the UK when we wanted to come, I don't think we would have survived.
Why?
I don't think I would.
Why?
Because now really knowing how things work, and like the hustle and like the restrictions you have like a student, I feel like it would have been so difficult for you. Right?
I think so.
Compared to now. So maybe God was just like, this
Maybe God was protecting us and we didn't realize it.
Oh, you're too last born, you will not be able to. So just stay here. So we thank God for it.
Even though like life has turned out like good, can't complain. I still wonder what could have been. It still hurts me sometimes when I see people graduating and all this. I'm like, oh, that could have been me. And I know that I would have done really well, like academically. I feel like I would have really thrived in that aspect. But like the academic part of me died when I finished my A-levels.
A-levels, it didn't enter in your life.
Like, I don't think it came with me because at that time I just gave up. It made me, I used to really love education and learning and something
Did you want to be a teacher?
Yeah, exactly. Something that used to be so predictable all my life. I watched it crumble, so I didn't care for it anymore. I was like, yeah, let me go and make money. Like,
anyway, conversation cards.
Yay!
So we're going to do maybe 2 or 3 of each. Can start as the guest.
Okay. Tell me your first impression of me when we met. Am I supposed to answer this?
I think we've talked. I think both, but let me start. I think I talked about it. I didn't like you.
Me too. I don't like so.
Okay, let me go next. Tell me a time you obeyed the instruction of God. What was the experience?
So many.
Most recent one.
Coming here is not. It's not the most recent one, but coming here was definitely an instruction from God, and it was a whole journey. It was tough, really tough. And I don't even think I've talked about it much because I've been really, really processing it. But
just processing. Maybe part 2.
Not today.
When you come back, maybe next season.
Not today, but
we'll talk about UK specifically.
Yeah. I would say that's the most recent one, and it taught me something that obeying God doesn't necessarily mean that the path will be smooth and you will not have challenges, but it doesn't mean that God did not say you should go. So just like that tension, what is something fear has stopped you from going after? These question cards are really...
They're really good. Something, I think fear was something I really did battle with throughout last year. I was just scared of... Thank you. I was just scared. I was scared of everything. When I'm supposed to like enter this maybe new season, I just become scared. When I left uni, I was so scared to go out because it's like I'm not an adult.
So what you're up to?
Yeah. So I started going to the gym so I could feel strong. So if someone wants to beat me, I can beat them. So it was also that then last year feeling just fearful. I couldn't create because I was just so scared. And it was Mazino's video on fear that I would say delivered me from it.
Wow.
Because I didn't even know what I was scared of, but I was just so scared. That's why I did not post. That's why I didn't do a lot of things. Even moving here, there was like some form of fear. Like I told you when you came to see me that, oh yeah, I didn't go out by myself because I was just so scared to write.
Did you come here by yourself today?
I can't. I have gone everywhere.
Yeah.
What's the question again?
What has fear stopped you from?
So yeah, I think that's it. And overcoming the fear, that particular video, I got Confidence Woman devotional by Joyce Meyer. So it's been about building my confidence and trust in God to remove that fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there anything you're not doing now because you're afraid?
Posting on Instagram.
If you're posting on YouTube.
I had a therapy session yesterday. I find posting on YouTube easier than posting on Instagram or like TikTok. What do I know?
It's all in your head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying a new process so that I should have like internal eyes or something. But I'm going to try it so I can post on there. But yeah, what about you?
I think that a lot of things. I'm in a phase of my life where I have to start doing a lot of things by myself, raising my fund. I'm in the process of writing a book, and it's just when you are doing things with people, there's that, like when you're working for someone, it's different from when you're doing it by yourself or for yourself. So it's like, who am I to even think that I can do these things? Do you understand what I mean? I don't necessarily have like all the pretty qualifications in a bowl. Not from a lack of try, as you can see, I tried. Man proposes, God disposes.
Yeah.
But so I'm dealing with that fear a lot of, will it be well received? If I hit a roadblock, will I stop or will I be able to move forward? But I've started now, but yeah, I did feel a lot of fear around these things.
What do you think has sustained this relationship? Brunch.
That one was just recent now. I think it's just like somehow we find each other and it's like we try and reconnect and catch each other up on what's been happening to us. I don't think like we necessarily talk every day.
I don't think that's sustainable for us, please.
Yeah, I know, I'm just saying. But you talk to Dami every day.
No.
Really? Since when?
That man I've never been in talk every day kind of.
Really? I just felt like you guys would.
If it's not sustainable for us, that means sleeps by 9 o'clock. Let's start with that. And then the thing we do now is we try to keep streaks on Snapchat.
Oh, that's good.
And I have been the person breaking the streaks because I just kind of suck at that.
Yeah.
But we've never talked every day.
Yeah. I think it's just like knowing that, okay, I have a friend, Malcolm, and you know that you have me as a friend. So even if we've not talked in a while, if you call me or if I say, oh, let's hang out, or if you say, oh, we should do something, we will always try and respect that and show up for each other. Or if any one of us needs something, we'll show up for each other. I also think we do a lot of activities together. Like, not a lot, but we've done some activities together. Like when we went to Ibadan together and our brunches.
You always come up with the ideas, I feel. That brunch thing was what saved us. We won't be seeing each other.
Yeah.
Even though you were living like what's not so far from.
We were not, it was just
it's crazy. Like,
it's like life requires so much effort. And we also have like similar values. And I think that has sustained us, especially like me, you and Dami. I think we have like the most similar values. So that has helped us like with our friendship.
Yeah. Do you next?
Focus me. Okay. Have you ever noticed a pattern or cycle the devil usually traps you in to keep you from doing God's will? This is a very...
That's a deep hole. I didn't even know that was in there because I went through the cards. I would say for me, it's really that fear thing.
Fear.
And it's really... I don't think more now, but yes, I think I've been working towards fear. Also, attachments to nonsense.
Like
You know when you really want something
Yeah.
above what God wants for you, because you cannot love yourself more than God loves you.
Sure. Say that again.
So that is what I've learned quite recently. I realized that the reason why I used to even feel so
Let down.
disappointed is because I've already attached so much to this thing that is this idea. And I think what God has taught me in the last 6 months is detachment. It's when I
Healthy detachment.
Yeah, healthy detachments to those things. Like I still have my dreams, I still have things I want, but just like, yeah, not in my hands, but in yours. Yeah, and what you want.
I'll say for me, self-sabotage.
Girl, why?
I don't know. I'll just start doing things that I know are detrimental to myself. I can't explain it. Like, not putting myself out there, not speaking up. Like, I could literally be in a conference, but I'll now start feeling like, oh my God, I don't belong here. Do you get what I mean? Or just self-sabotaging behaviors like procrastination. I would say that's definitely the one that keep me from doing God's will. I fight through it, but yeah, fear as well. Like, oh my God, what could happen? Yeah, it's just
Okay,
thank God for God on our side.
Thank God. Last one on my end. What's the thing about me that fascinates you the most?
I think your creativity. You are so creative, and I don't even think you realize how like creative you are. And you have such an eye for beauty and like aesthetics. In another world, I think you'd be a great interior designer.
You know what? Wait. After this, I'll give you.
Yeah, but I think that you've just always been that person, and I love how like you've always created the life that you want within your ability. Because I remember when we're in A-levels, you save your money, you do Jumia, Black Friday, you buy your Ruby Woo, like your weaves, you save money to buy your weaves, you had that weave business, you watch your shows. So even though like you were in school, you didn't let the whole school thing consume you from living like your best my cool life. You didn't feel like you had to eat the food that everyone was eating. You were just like yourself, and you were so creative. You would do your makeup, it always looks really nice. Yeah.
Love that. I think what fascinates me about you, you know, when I was thinking about this, I can't even find the words. I don't want to say maturity, but well, it does say maturity. But there's this thing where it feels like you are smarter than your years, and I find this so amazing. I mean, that's why I would listen to you compared to anybody that's age. Well, like there's just this wisdom that comes when you speak or when you do something that is so mind-blowing to me. And I really like that about you. Like that I have a very smart friend.
Oh, thank you.
And a very wise friend.
Oh,
it's really good. The last one for you.
What is the time you lean into the strength of God? Every day.
Every day, we thank God.
I can't even survive a day like yeah, every day. I need God's strength every day because this life is so exhausting.
Yeah, actually that's right. Anyway, we've come to the end
of this felt so short.
Really?
Yeah. And I had so much fun. I like conversation flowed so easily.
It felt like being in a restaurant and
and it felt like our usual conversation. So it's not. Although there were a few surprises here and there, I feel like there were some things that you did not know yet, which was surprising to me. Like, oh, I've not told you. So which means like we had to be more intentional about having deeper conversations.
Definitely.
And it's something I realize now that it's so easy to be on the surface, and it is asking the right questions that makes people open up. I don't do well with telling people what's going on with me at all. I'll go through it first.
Then after, yeah. I think that's something that I've actually learned quite recently, to be more, well, while I'm going through it, to also share.
Yeah, but the thing is that if I start to share, everybody will be tired. I can get very intense when I'm in the middle of something. So I kind of feel like I don't want to burden anybody. Also knowing that your friends are able to hold space for you when you really need it. And trusting them to deliver that. Like actually give people a chance to even be there for you. Help it. Even in like relationship, like spouse or partner they can't read your mind. They don't know unless you open your mouth. And I think it's the opening your mouth part.
Open your mouth.
That is
Go and
hard.
have drinks and have deep conversations. See you in the next episode. Bye.